There comes a point in life where you have to make a decision, keep talking about what you want to become, or finally shut the noise off and build the version of yourself you dream about. Most people will never change, not because they can't, but because they are too busy proving instead of improving. Execution beats exposure because results will always have more weight than promises. Anyone can talk about what they want to do, where they want to be, and what they plan to build. Talking is cheap. Execution costs time, discipline, and sleep, comfort, and effort. And that price is why most people never pay it. When you choose execution over exposure, you shift from seeking attention to earning respect. The world doesn't remember the loudest voices. It remembers the people who did the work. When you stop announcing your plans, something powerful happens. You eliminate unnecessary pressure. No more performing for others, no more explaining, no more defending your choices. Your energy no longer leaks into conversations that don't move you forward. Instead, you spend that energy building proof. Results become your communication. Execution becomes your language. And that shift alone is enough to change the trajectory of your life. Exposure gives a false sense of progress. When you tell people your goals, you get instant praise and dopamine before you've even taken a single step. That temporary high tricks the brain into believing progress is happening. But execution is different. It gives you something real, new skills, growth, momentum, and improvement you can measure. Exposure feels good immediately, but leaves you empty. Execution feels hard now, but pays you later. The world is full of people who announce dreams, but never take the first action. They want the celebration before the sweat. They want the recognition before the impact. And because they never start, they never finish. Those who prioritize execution don't need praise to move. They don't need external approval to get out of bed and grind. They've learned that the only applause that matters is the one they give themselves when they see real progress. Execution also builds identity. When you show up consistently, even when you are tired, uncertain, or alone, you start changing how you see yourself. You go from someone who wants success to someone who creates success, and once your identity shifts, your actions follow. You behave differently because you believe differently. Exposure never gives you that transformation. Only doing the work does. As you work quietly, people often assume nothing is happening. They can't see the early mornings, the late nights, the failures, the learning curves, the hours spent refining skills while everyone else is resting. But execution has a way of compounding. 1 month of work becomes 3. 3 becomes a year. A year becomes results no one can ignore. Eventually, the same people who thought nothing was happening will want to know how everything changed so quickly. There is power in being underestimated. While others are busy talking, debating, comparing, and trying to look successful, you are stacking small wins. You are collecting progress others never see coming. By the time they realize what you've been doing, the gap is already too wide to close. Execution makes you unpredictable, and unpredictability makes you dangerous to your competition. In the end, exposure is about appearance, and execution is about evidence. People can argue with ideas, opinions, and claims, but no one can argue with results. Results change the conversation. They force attention, respect, and recognition without you ever asking for it. Execution is the one strategy that never fails, because it guarantees that you are growing even when no one is watching. Silence is a competitive advantage because the moment you stop broadcasting your every move, you remove the opinions, distractions, and doubts that slow most people down. When everyone knows what you're trying to accomplish, they react, judge, comment, and question. And even if you're mentally strong, that extra noise still eats away at your time and focus. Working quietly keeps the mission clean and uninterrupted. When you move in silence, you protect yourself from premature criticism. People love to analyze a plan before it's even executed, and once you let those voices in, progress can stall. Most people abandon ideas not because they're impossible, but because they allowed someone with no vision to convince them otherwise. Silence keeps your belief intact until results are strong enough to defend themselves. There is strength in not needing validation. When a person stops looking for approval and starts making decisions for the sake of growth, their actions become faster and more decisive. You no longer delay execution by waiting for someone to say your idea is good enough. You stop asking for permission and start earning progress. That alone separates players from spectators. Silence also eliminates the pressure of performing for an audience. When people know what you are working on, you feel watched. That pressure forces you to make moves for appearances rather than strategy. In silence, you experiment freely. You can fail, adjust, learn, rebuild, and improve without the fear of being judged. Growth accelerates when you don't have to defend every mistake. Focus thrives in the absence of noise. Every conversation, every explanation, every justification takes time and energy that could be used to execute. You only have so many productive hours in a day, and silent workers spend nearly all of them building instead of talking about building. The fewer distractions you allow in, the more mental bandwidth you have for actions that move the needle. When no one knows your direction, they can't interfere with it. Competitors can't block a move they can't see. Haters can't attack what they don't know exists. Even well, meaning friends and family can't slow you down with safe advice or fear-based warnings. Operating silently keeps your work uncontested until it's too developed to stop. Another reason silence is powerful is that progress compounds quietly. Most breakthroughs aren't single big moments, they're hundreds of micro wins, reps, attempts, failures, and adjustments that nobody sees. Month by month, you get stronger, smarter, and more capable. Then one day everything clicks, results become visible, and it looks like success came out of nowhere, even though you've been earning it for a long time. Silence transforms you because it forces you to rely on internal motivation instead of external applause. When no one is clapping and you still show up, you prove to yourself that you really want it. That internal fire is the foundation of unstoppable execution. People who need to be seen slow down when attention fades. People who work silently speed up because they don't rely on it in the first place. Discipline is the real flex because motivation is temporary and unreliable. Anyone can work hard on the days when they feel inspired, excited, or energetic. But discipline kicks in when motivation disappears, when things get boring, when the progress is slow, and when nothing around you is clapping. That's the moment when most people quit. The ones who keep going in those moments separate themselves from the crowd without ever needing to announce it. Most people treat success like an emotional event. If they feel good, they take action. If they feel tired, discouraged, or uninspired, they stop. But success doesn't respond to feelings, it responds to repetition. Discipline is the ability to move anyway. It's waking up when the alarm rings, working when you want to relax, showing up when no one would blame you for resting. It's the ability to prioritize the mission over the mood. Discipline builds confidence because every time you keep a promise to yourself, you rewrite your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who hopes and start seeing yourself as someone who executes. Identity drives action. Once you see yourself as the kind of person who gets things done, no matter what, your standards rise automatically. You demand more from yourself and the world responds accordingly. Discipline is a skill, not a personality trait. You build it by doing the small things consistently until they become automatic. Showing up on time, finishing what you start, sticking to the plan, pushing through discomfort. These repetitions strengthen your mental muscle the same way weight lifts strengthen your body. The more you practice discipline, the less it feels like effort and the more it becomes instinct. The reason discipline is rare is because it has no audience. No one celebrates the mornings you wake up early when you're exhausted, the nights you stay focused while your friends relax, or the hours you spend practicing when nobody is paying attention. These moments happen in silence. There is no spotlight and no applause. Discipline rewards you privately long before the results become public. People who rely on motivation develop inconsistency because they are always waiting for the right moment. People who rely on discipline create momentum because every moment becomes the right moment. They make progress even on bad days, and that accumulation of effort becomes unstoppable. One disciplined day might not change your life, but 365 disciplined days absolutely will. Discipline makes success boring in the best way. The greats don't wake up every day chasing excitement. They wake up chasing improvement. They take the same actions again and again until outcomes become predictable. Boring work done consistently creates extraordinary outcomes. It's the people who require constant novelty, who never stay long enough to master anything. In a world full of people who talk big, post big, and dream big, discipline is the real competitive edge. It requires no talent, no audience, no spotlight, just commitment. And the person who keeps showing up year after year without needing permission, attention, or motivation eventually becomes the person everyone else watches. Text skills make you unstoppable because they give you an advantage that no one can take away from you. Titles can be removed, opportunities can disappear, circumstances can change, but skills stay with you for life. When you invest in building tangible capabilities, you become valuable in any environment, in any industry, in any condition. The world rewards people who can solve real problems, and skills are the tools that allow you to do exactly that. Most people chase attention instead of ability. They want to look successful instead of being capable. They want recognition before mastery. They want others to see them winning before they've actually earned the right to win. But the world isn't impressed by how loudly you talk about success. It responds to the value you can produce consistently. Skills turn you into someone who doesn't need to promote themselves because the results speak louder than anything you could ever say. Skill building requires humility because you must admit you are not yet good enough. Many people avoid learning because learning reminds them of their weaknesses. It puts them in the position of a beginner where mistakes are necessary and progress is slow. But every strength you admire in someone else started as a weakness they were willing to face. The person who is willing to be terrible before becoming great always wins. The beautiful thing about skills is that they compound over time. Each one builds on the last. Learning communication helps you sell. Learning sales helps you negotiate. Learning negotiation helps you close opportunities. One skill makes the next easier. That's how ordinary people become exceptional, not through one breakthrough moment, but through years of stacking capabilities until they are operating on a different level than everyone around them. Skills remove fear. When you become truly capable, you stop worrying about losing because you know you can rebuild. You stop depending on luck, timing, or approval because you know how to produce outcomes through your own abilities. People who lack skills stay scared because they have nothing solid backing them. People who build skills walk with confidence because they know their value is real, measurable, and transferable anywhere. Skill building requires consistency, not intensity. Studying for one day won't change your life. Practicing once won't make you great, but showing up daily, even for a short period, creates transformation that compounds. You don't notice it at first. Nobody does. Then suddenly people start asking how you improved so fast, not realizing you've been quietly putting in the reps when no one was watching. Most people stop learning too early. They graduate, get a job, learn enough to get by, and then plateau. They don't realize the world pays exponentially more to those who never stop improving. The top performers in any field aren't the ones who know the most. They're the ones who are always learning. Progress keeps them sharp, relevant, and ahead, while everyone else stays stuck in the same cycle year after year. Skills are the only real currency that never loses value. They pay you whether the economy is good or bad, whether you're employed or independent, whether people support you or doubt you. Approval pays you once, if at all. Skills pay you forever. When you can do something exceptionally well, you never have to chase opportunities. Opportunities start chasing you. Results create the reputation because people may doubt your words, argue with your ideas, and question your dreams, but they cannot deny what is real and measurable. Opinions are cheap and effortless, but results require actual work, sacrifice, and execution. When you produce outcomes that are visible and undeniable, the conversation changes. You no longer have to convince anyone of what you can do because the evidence does the speaking for you. People trust what they can see more than what they hear, and results give them something concrete to see. Many people waste years trying to defend themselves, explain their intentions, and seek validation for their goals. They want people to believe in them before they've produced anything worth believing in. But the world doesn't operate on potential, it operates on proof. You don't get respected for what you say you will do, you get respected for what you have done. The person who quietly builds results will always outperform the one who loudly talks about effort. Respect earned through performance lasts longer than any approval earned through speeches. Results shut down arguments instantly. When someone doubts you, you don't need to debate them. You just show them through continued execution. Arguments can be ignored. Opinions can be dismissed, but success has a weight that even people who dislike you are forced to acknowledge. Results make critics silent because they take away the only weapon critics have, doubt. Once doubt is gone, all that remains is recognition, whether spoken or not. There is also power in letting results speak for you because it keeps your energy focused on forward momentum instead of emotional battles. When someone is talking, criticizing, or trying to undermine your progress, responding wastes energy that should be spent on building. The strongest statement is always progress. Every hour you spend defending yourself is an hour not spent improving yourself. The people who achieve the most are the ones who channel their energy into execution instead of explanation. Results also change how people treat you. Before you have proof, you are judged by assumption. After you have proof, you are judged by achievement. Doors that were previously closed begin to open. People who ignored you start paying attention. Doubters become curious. Opportunities begin to appear where none existed before. Results are the currency that buys access, credibility, and influence in any field. You don't need to push your way in when your achievements pull you in. Another truth about results is that they reveal who is serious and who is performing. When two people start at the same time with the same dream, the one who produces results rises higher while the one who only talks remains where they are. The gap widens slowly at first, then suddenly becomes undeniable. People start realizing that quiet consistency outpaces loud ambition every single time. The one who stayed silent and focused becomes the one everyone watches. Results also build confidence from the inside. Every win, no matter how small, reinforces the belief that you can produce outcomes through your actions. That internal validation is far more powerful than external applause. When you know you can execute, you no longer need others to remind you. You carry a certain conviction in how you move, decide, and work. Confidence based on results is unshakable because it comes from experience, not imagination. Outperforming others is not about competition. It is about demonstrating that you are willing to pay the price that most won't. Evidence is louder than opinion because opinion requires talking, but evidence requires work. When you produce consistent results, you no longer have to argue for your place, your capability, or your vision. The work proves it for you in a language everyone understands. Building in private allows you to grow without interference, without comparison, and without the weight of external judgment slowing you down. When no one is watching, you are free to experiment, make mistakes, refine your approach, and rebuild without the fear of looking inexperienced. Most people never reach their potential because they try to improve while being observed, and the pressure of being seen stops them from taking the necessary imperfect steps that lead to mastery. Working away from the spotlight forces you to rely on discipline instead of applause. When you are not getting recognition, praise, or validation, you learn to keep moving purely out of commitment. This kind of motivation is the strongest foundation a person can build. Anyone can work hard when they are being noticed, but the real growth happens when you continue even in silence, in the moments where nobody knows what you're doing except you. Private work also sharpens your focus. You have no need to explain your pace, justify your choices, or defend your timeline. Your entire bandwidth can be allocated to progress instead of conversation. Every hour that would have been spent talking about progress is redirected into creating actual progress. You move faster not because you are more talented, but because you have fewer distractions and more clarity about what matters. During this silent grind, people may assume that nothing is happening. They may think you are inactive, unproductive, or comfortable where you are. But what they cannot see are the long nights, the persistent effort, and the relentless commitment happening behind closed doors. Private development is quiet in the present, but it becomes extremely loud in the future when the outcomes begin to surface, surprising everyone who thought nothing was happening. The advantage of building in private is that you also protect your dreams from criticism before they are strong enough to withstand it. Early ideas are fragile, and the wrong conversation at the wrong time can kill a vision before it has a chance to grow. When you keep your work to yourself, you allow it to develop durability. By the time people hear about it, it is no longer an idea, it is a reality backed by progress they can't argue with. Another powerful element of silent development is that it creates separation. While others are busy talking, posting, announcing, and seeking approval, you are stacking hours of execution. At first, the difference is invisible. A few weeks of effort looks the same on the surface, but months and years of focused private work create a gap so large that people will one day wonder how you advanced so far ahead without them noticing. The simple answer will be that while they were speaking, you were working. Private effort builds power because you grow quietly, skill by skill, habit by habit, level by level. You don't need an audience to improve. You don't need applause to continue. You start becoming someone others can't compete with, not because you've been trying to look impressive, but because you've been consistently improving when no one else was paying attention. Over time, your ability becomes undeniable and your results become inevitable. Then comes the moment where the work finally becomes visible. People start seeing the outcomes, the transformation, the achievements, and they assume everything changed suddenly. They don't realize how many hours of unseen effort built the visible success. Winning in public feels effortless not because it was easy, but because the hard part was done quietly. The world only sees the breakthrough, not the build. But that is exactly why building in private is such a powerful strategy. At the end of the day, everything comes down to one truth. Your life changes the moment you decide to take full responsibility for it. Not tomorrow, not next month, not when circumstances become perfect, but right now. No one is coming to save you, no one is coming to push you, and no one is going to build the future you want except you. You don't need louder goals. You need stronger habits. You don't need more promises. You need more execution. While others keep talking about what they want, you can separate yourself by showing what you've built. Turn your attention inward, work in silence, sharpen your skills, and let your results become the proof. Don't rush for recognition. Don't speed toward applause. Build the person capable of earning everything you want, and the world will catch up later. You owe yourself the discipline, the hunger, and the follow through to create the life most people only dream about. From this moment forward, don't just plan a better life, build it. Focus on yourself, stay consistent, stay silent, and watch how everything around you begins to change.